You shall not pass through. Yeah, so Apple Passthrough. Going back to summer, going back to the last WWDC, the home theater, internet, and everything has been just blown up with speculation about the fact that audio pass-through is coming to Apple platforms, to Apple TV, etc. What does it mean? It's the death of Kaleidescape. It's going to be this groundbreaking things, lossless audio, all this stuff. And while I would say I haven't tried to be a naysayer, but I have been a little hesitant to just basically accept all of the information and the opinions in the rumor mongering basically at face value. To be quite honest, I haven't really trusted a lot of the journalism or the publishing about this topic. I don't really trust the sites like Mac Rumors or 9 to 5 Mac because, and I don't mean this to be insulting, but I just don't feel that the folks that are writing those types of articles at some of those types of media outlets are really more hardcore home theater enthusiasts and understand some of the nuances about what these things mean and what these features may mean and what they might do and how they may work. Case in point, there was a lot of positive press written that I saw about the ultra widescreen features and stuff that came to Apple TV, and I've shown a number of times how that feature really didn't work the way that it was supposed to, and it's really not great, actually. I even need to make some more content about that still. Maybe someday that will be brought up to real spec for a real home theater enthusiast, but even till now, to the latest tvOS 26 versions, it's still not where it's supposed to be. So that's left me really hesitant about accepting the rumor mongering about Apple Passthrough kind of at its face value, and I've spoken pretty freely about that opinion. Other folks are free to disagree with me. There's a lot of hopium out there. And exuberance for this feature. It's certainly something that I've wanted to see happen for a long time. I've advocated for Apple streaming high fidelity audio, high fidelity video, higher bitrate stuff for a long time. It never happens. That's why I happily continue to use my Kaleidescape, and I have for the last 8 years, right alongside my Apple TV and my home theater system. But I had my doubts. Again, I had my doubts, and I felt that a lot of the commentary out there around the Apple TV pass-through was really just based on hope and speculation, and a little bit of kind of over exuberant or not fully factual reporting. And so that leads me to the point now. I came across a couple of discussions, basically Reddit, going to discussion on the Plex user forum, going to discussion on the Infuse user forums. And as I've tried to look for information on this topic over the last few months, it's really like these places that I've gone, particularly the app maker user forums, because I can guarantee that if something were really true, something were really awesome, something was really latent in tvOS and the software development kits and the APIs and everything to be able to do lossless audio, to be able to do pass-through and all of this stuff, I guarantee, and I have my full faith and trust that the Infuse developers, the Plex developers, these folks are going to know. They're going to be on top of whatever is happening in those dev kits. They're going to be engaging with Apple directly because they make authorized apps on the platform as developers, and they make home theater dedicated, enthusiast home theater dedicated apps, and they really should know their stuff. So let's take a look at some of the discussion, a couple of threads, discussion comments and stuff that I've come across related, which is unfortunately and essentially refuting the idea that pass-through, as it was hoped or as it was thought and rumored and speculated, and all of this hopium was placed around this feature over the last few months, isn't actually what anybody thought it might have been and isn't actually really coming at all. So let's take a look. Okay, so let's take a look at some of this information. So I'm going to start on a Reddit. This is on the Apple TV Reddit from about 2 months ago. Somebody posted here, what happened to audio pass-through? Been looking for news or an official source about this with iOS 26, tvOS 26, but I've heard nothing. I know we have an Apple event on the 9th, but I don't trust Apple, so this is going back to September, talking about the iPhone event. So this user called SiganDE, not sure who this is, again, but comments here pretty strongly. Everyone smoking the hopium here needs to know the only thing present in the tvOS 26 API is an enumeration that mentions the word pass-through. The enumeration is AV audio content source, and this is what I remember reading back out of WWDC. So there's a description for this enumeration. The description is pass-through content, use only if source information is not available, and the usage of said keys is described as a DRC loudness encoder property key. So that's it. No other APIs, no audio pass-through methods, nothing else. This really has nothing to do with the audio pass-through everyone wants. This is around dynamic range control handling. And so there's a little bit of conjecture in here, people talking again about the hopium and this other, so Locutus 508. So remember this name, Locutus pops up again where we're going to go after the Reddit. It says, you are 100% correct. Those constants have nothing to do with the subject at hand. Also, if any additional formats were in the works using pass-through or any method, the header for core audio types would be updated to reflect the support. In addition, if pass-through were being added as a delivery method, AV Player and AV Audio Session would have new properties dealing with the feature. None of this has happened. So, again, basically some frustration and sadness is there. And then there's a mention here. I bet Infuse was the first to implement it. And somebody comments, I've been following the thread on the Firecore site, which I've been looking at as well over these months. So far, the only feedback from the dev was that there wasn't any implementation in the betas yet. No word at all that the API does what people expect. Hopes are not high. And then another comment, no one knows yet. The Infuse devs would likely be the first to confirm if it was happening again. Remember, this is still from 2 months ago. It's not happening. People have completely misunderstood something in the beta code. What everyone here thinks it is wrong. You aren't getting true HD DTS pass-through. Apple would have to license every codec. I've talked about that as well. Okay, so there's a reference as well, I thought, from here, but it goes over to a Plex discussion forum, forums.plex.tv. In this thread titled Apple TV, tvOS 26 is bringing audio pass-through, will Plex update? This goes back to September as well. Keep this in mind. But Stevenson Price, who's specifically tagged here as a Plex employee, says, sadly, I can confirm that Reddit reply is correct. So the Reddit reply is going back to the one that we were just looking at. There is no API for pass-through support in tvOS 26. The API that was found is just an enum used to indicate the source for an encoder. Keep your fingers crossed for tvOS 27, I guess. Just like we've kept our fingers crossed every year I have anyway, for several years on end, hoping that we may see this come out of WWDC. So some additional discussion, and that's pretty much kind of the end of that thread. Okay, so now we're over here at community.firecore.com. Firecore is, of course, the developer of the Infuse app. Really, really like the Infuse app for playing local media content off of a server or off the cloud even, for that matter. If you're in the Apple ecosystem, if you're not familiar with it, it's very much akin to like Plex and Kodi and that sort of thing, with some differences. It doesn't have a server element like Plex does, but I digress. So this discussion over here, it's called New Audio Pass-Through API in the Apple Docs. These guys are referencing the comment in the Plex forum. So this is from around September time as well. A question for developers. I have heard that the new tvOS 26 update unlocks the ability for developers of apps to use pass-through audio bitstream. I assume Infuse is aware of this. And I think there's a couple different discussion threads on Firecore, and mentioned here. Actually, I think some of the discussion threads have been kind of combined. But we see no such API, fake rumors. And then here's Locutus again, right? To confuse everyone even more, Apple Insider wrote another article on Monday where they copy and pasted from the original article claiming pass-through, and this 9.1.6 Atmos has finally arrived, neither of which are true. As we go forward here, wondering if there's a possibility that could be for the next Apple TV version. Everybody just hopes, again, if it's not now, it's the next thing. It'll be coming in the next thing. OS 27, the next hardware, I don't know. But so, yeah, sure, Apple could decide to offer pass-through audio in any future update. Has always been the case. Absolutely, it's always been the case. They could decide to do this at any time. They could have decided to do it any time in the last several years. The issue here is Apple Insider pointed to a section in the SDK without actually reading what its usage is. When you read it, you find out it has a completely different purpose. Since Apple's Insider's claim was based on the section of the SDK, there was no claim to make. The problem with Apple Insider's claim, again, they saw something, they didn't understand it. This is what I was saying from the very beginning. I don't necessarily trust those news outlets' opinions on the very, very techie enthusiast elements of home theater. There was so much wrong calling about the ultra widescreen feature. It doesn't surprise me that there's some wrong calls potentially going on here as well. So they referenced the Plex discussion as well. Another commenter here, Archer75, which this name is familiar to me as well, around audio video discussions, I think. a username that I think I recall from a variety of different outlets. Sadly, I can confirm that Reddit reply is correct. There is no API for pass-through support in tvOS 26. The API that was found is just an enum used to indicate the source for an encoder. And so that's about it as we go through to current time. Well, so there you go. I'm curious what folks think about that. Leave some comments if you would. Let's have a conversation. What do you think about these statements, these discussions and stuff on these message boards? I will try to leave some links to those conversation threads in the description of the video as well for you to check out yourself. But again, I would trust the conversation from qualified developers, moderators, and contributors on real dedicated home theater app and enthusiast type discussion areas, rather than 9to5 Mac articles or Mac Rumors articles and stuff about this topic. Again, I don't feel that a lot of the folks, or many of the folks that are writing the commentary about these very dedicated home theater dedicated aspects of Apple TV really have like a home theater pedigree, so to speak. Reading some of the discussion in the forums, I will say it is hard to know exactly who anybody is. On some of the forums, some of the folks are tagged as moderators, or they have like special contribution tags, but we don't necessarily know in every case who's an Apple developer or who's not. There are some, it does look like based on the names, there are some of the same folks jumping between these different discussion threads in these different places as well. But I'm kind of apt to believe what I'm reading here over anything else that I have read or seen anywhere else, and definitely over anybody else's just general opinion that they saw a rumor about Apple TV pass-through, and it means that the skies are going to open and all of streaming, audio, video, movie, and content delivery is going to change. We're still on the cusp of a piece of new Apple TV hardware. We went through September, didn't come. We've gone through October, it hasn't come. Now we're into November. If we don't get this thing probably by the week before Thanksgiving, shipped in stores and in our hands, I don't think it's coming this calendar year. I don't see an Apple TV release happening in December. There could still be something tied up in that new Apple TV related to this concept, related to this thought, but if the stuff isn't in the development kit now, it's not in the SDKs realistically now, or really now, it's not in the APIs, then it probably doesn't matter what that box may or may not even do. I don't think it changes anything in the equation, that this was all just kind of a big, perhaps, misunderstanding. And more than likely, in my opinion, that new Apple TV box is probably going to be just overall a spec bump. You're going to get a new Apple Silicon chip. You're going to get some upgraded internals and guts. I expect a fairly similar form factor, enhanced performance and all of that, maybe a little bit more towards the gaming side of things. But I'm really not expecting a major paradigm shift to something new or majorly expansive or different or evolved in the Apple TV realm for whatever the next generation of the box proves to be. But hey, I don't know. Again, that's just all specifically my opinion. So sound off in the comments and let me know, what do you think? Again, do you believe the rumoring? Do you want to just believe the rumoring that's been happening in the last months? What do you think about the discussion in these forums? Are you privy to any other more qualified discussion around this topic? If you are, if you have the links, you have the links to the report, you have the links to some discussion, please share it, link it in the comments. I would like to read it as well. And if we find something else out that looks very true and honest and accurate, I'll just say, man, I'm all for the Apple TV being an awesome platform. In my opinion, Apple TV and Kaleidescape go hand in hand. They serve different purposes within my home theater environments. I have both boxes in both of my home theater rooms, and I think they're additive devices to each other. I want them both to be awesome, but I've waited a long time, and it just doesn't really feel that like super high fidelity streaming, super lossless audio streaming and all of that stuff is actually really going to come to us in mass anytime soon. And to me, even if pass-through was allowed just for local media or disk content rips and stuff like that via Infuse or Plex, I'm sure that will excite some people still, because it would allow them to eliminate a secondary device like an NVIDIA Shield perhaps, or an Arvolution or a Dune player or something like that. But even again, if that comes to pass, that only provides a feature value or a value addition to the folks that are doing the ripped media stuff and all of that. And I know that I and many others that I interact with, engage with, and conversate with are not doing the ripping thing, and we're never going back to the ripping thing. So we'll continue to happily use a really great streamer box in the Apple TV right alongside our Kaleidescapes for high fidelity audio and video content, both with a high level of ease of use and convenience and elegance and accessibility. So, interesting topic. I expect there to be some fairly emotional comments to this video. I'm sure that some people won't like the things that I have to say about this, but again, I'm just giving my opinion, my conjecture based on the things that I'm reading. And again, I'm trying to find more qualified sources and qualified voices to comment on the state of, or the possibility of, pass-through audio for the Apple TV and what it may have meant or may have been, and what it actually is or may not be going forward. Thanks for watching. If I can help anybody out there with your home theater setups, your audio video setups, of course, I'm a dealer, reseller, integrator. I represent a whole bunch of different brands. I represent a whole bunch of things that I really like and use within my own home theater systems. That includes Kaleidescape, JVC, Panamorph lenses, Seymour Stewart screens, Focal, Denon Marantz, SVS. I can do snap stuff like the Watt boxes and the Strong Racks. I can do TV brands, Epson, Sony, and others as well. I've really grown up the business. If you're looking for something, you're thinking about expanding your system, upgrading your system, please reach out to me, Jeremy at techthusiasm.net, or go to www.techthusiasm.com. My dealer info is there. A more complete brand listing, a contact form is available there as well. I would love to help you. If you like the content, you value the content, you find use in the things that I have to say, and introducing you to products and ideas and helping to better your audio, video, and entertainment experience, I would love it and really appreciate the opportunity to work with you one-on-one and serve you with my knowledge and experience and have the opportunity to win your business. If you'd like to help me more simply, hey, there's a bunch of affiliate links always in my videos. Check them out. Amazon, Walmart, Target, Audio Advice, Crutchfield, eBay, apparel stores, and more. Please use those in your regular shopping. Just click add to cart and buy. No cost to you and easy benefit to the channel and everything that I'm doing here. Of course, I welcome everybody. Become a channel member. If you find the videos useful, leave a super thanks, PayPal, Venmo tip. Minimally, please do the regular YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, share the video. And again, leave that comment. What do you think about this whole situation? Was the whole thing just off base and off the rails from the very beginning? Just a big misunderstanding? Or is there still possibly a shred of truth and opportunity that Apple TV audio pass-through could actually turn into something cool and useful? Thanks for watching. Come on back for more home theater discussion and fun.